I breathe you in, 'cause your scent's deep on my pillow. We go undercover, I will be your lover. We're up through night and day. Come on, let me hear you say, let's go undercover. I wanna be your lover. I don't want the games they play. It's not us, so we better stay. We go undercover, I will be your lover. We're up through night and day. Come on, let me hear you say, let's go undercover. I wanna be your lover. I don't want the games they play. It's not us, so we better stay.
Good morning. We are back out of Seoul. After I left the bookstore, oh man, there was a lot that happened. I won't get into it, but you know, I want to be mysterious so you guys don't know about me. No. Anyway, I wanted to talk about Tolstoy because I picked up this book. This was like my birthday gift to myself. It is a Penguin Classic edition of a bunch of his short stories translated, and I believe these are a lot of his early works. I was reading the introduction of this book from some Tolstoy expert was writing about him, and they said if I wanted to introduce a new reader to Tolstoy and give them a small taste of what he is like, I should probably recommend that they start with The Raid. The Raid is one of the short stories towards the end of the book, and it's only like 20 something pages, so you know what? We're gonna read this now, and I'll just share some of my thoughts on it. This was a good one. We follow a young Russian man who's stationed in the Caucasus region, which was part of imperialist Russia's like expansion movement, and there's nothing much really happening except one day his captain comes in and is like, yeah, our battalion is going to move. We're gonna have like a raid on some like Muslim rebel groups in the area. And our narrator's a little excited. He's like, oh wow, finally some action. And the general or the captain guy is like, well, no, that's not it. There's gonna be a lot of killing. And then they strike up this conversation about bravery. What does it mean to be brave? And this captain guy says, the man who behaves as he ought to is brave. Okay, and then that sort of sets up the thematic overtone for the rest of the short story, because our narrator gradually shifts into seeing the captain's perspective, that it actually, there's nothing glorifying or great about going into battle or going into a raid. And we just observe through our narrator's eyes all of these various young men who have such personalities despite being described in only just a few sentences. They go on this raid, and there's this one young man who kind of doesn't follow orders and he rushes through and he ends up killing quite a few people, so I guess he accomplishes what he wanted, but he comes back like fatally wounded. And the sort of open-ended discussion that the audience is left with at the end of the story is, was that man brave? And our narrator and the captain kind of think, no, that wasn't brave, that was foolish, but we're sort of left to have our own perception on it, which I think is interesting. The emphasis on nature and just like the quiet, sort of solemn harmony that nature provides in contrast to, you know, all of this like heavy man-made machinery and weaponry was a very interesting detail that struck me as some sort of like romantic idealism, which I don't know much about any like romantic writing from Russian authors' perspectives, but I know quite a bit about the Romantic era from German classics that I read, and that was interesting. I wasn't expecting some romantic elements of the novel. Romantic, not like romance, okay? Don't get me wrong. We're talking about like literary movement, okay? Oh, and then another interesting element in correlation to the whole bravery discussion was this sort of observation from our narrator about authenticity versus performance, which I thought was very cool. So he just observes all of these interesting guys that are hanging around his camp and how so many of them are putting on a performance. He has sort of this commentary on like, what does it mean to be authentic, and how can authenticity live in a place that is fostering such violence against, you know, these young men. So anyway, just a fun light read, you know, in the afternoon. So now I will finish my lunch and then I will edit the vlog. And yeah, I hope this could inspire you to pick up some Tolstoy or read a short story. And yeah, have a lovely, lovely day. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.